They have a combined 12 years in the National Football League. They combined for 65 career sacks, 232 tackles, 1 Pro Bowl selection, and 1 Employee of the Month award.
That's just a straight shooter with upper management written all over him.
It's Train and Grose on the All AZ Podcast Network.
Welcome in. 55th edition of Train and Grose coming to you this afternoon from Train Station Studio.
That's right.
Gorgeous afternoon.
Yeah.
I was driving down here with the windows open.
Nice and cool.
That's how nice today was.
Yeah, it's cool out
Finally.
today. It's cool. I love it.
Finally.
Yeah, we're here.
Got lots to get to today. College football, we get a little clarity, but lots to talk about there. Your alma mater's coming to town.
My alma mater is coming to town. They've already come in and researched the whole situation, all the locations where they're going to be, and that's what big-time programs do. They don't just wait till the week before. They don't wait till the week of. They go and get it done before everything gets real. So they had the red carpet treatment coming at State Farm Stadium and at Chaparral High School. And, it's on and popping.
Speaking of getting things done before it gets real, our boy over here is trying to get everything done this week before it gets real at his house.
Yeah.
Got some family coming in.
Family come in, but I was sharing with Sean.
I found out a new rule in the Berry household.
You know about the rule.
You probably know about this. I didn't know about the rule.
So the rule is when you come to my house as a visitor, you got 3 days.
No more.
3 days, you got to get up out of here. You got to roll on.
Because he said family's coming to town. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to be here a couple weeks because the holiday's still a couple weeks out. He goes,
hell no.
He looks at me and goes, you don't know my rule? I was like, I don't know. What's your rule?
I could have sworn we've talked about this.
3 days.
3 days.
That's what they get.
You get 3 days, you got to roll out.
Which makes sense. It's like Vegas, right? Anything beyond the second night just becomes a little much.
I mean, listen.
So what happens if somebody overstays? You packed your
I mean, hey, listen.
And then there's stuff sitting by the front door.
I'm just telling you, look, you get 9 meals. That's it. You get 9 meals out of me, then it's time to find something else.
Even moms, like your mother.
Moms gets 3 days.
Wow.
I mean,
I knew the rule. You and I have talked, and you've got some good rules.
I want to make sure.
We're going to write a book someday because I know about Halloween.
Get it out of here.
Yeah, I know about all the rules. I did not know that moms only gets 3 days.
Man, everybody gets 3 days. Everybody.
Which makes sense because, and I told him, I was like, I really appreciate this rule. Now, most of my family's here in town, so they come over, you can go home right away. But that makes sense because it doesn't matter how comfortable you are with somebody. When company's at the house, you're not
the same.
Comfortable.
You're not in your own house.
Yeah.
Because you're worried about, okay, do I have clothes on? Am I going to offend anybody?
Right.
Am I going to eat the last of whatever I wanted to eat?
Being a good host, right.
You know what I'm saying? Are you okay? Are you fed? Are you hungry? Can I get you something? Man, get all that out of here.
3 days.
3 days.
I like this rule.
9 meals.
I think we should all adopt this rule, to be perfectly honest.
That's 9 meals. That's a whole lot of water, electricity.
9 meals.
That's a lot going on now.
I got no comeback to that.
Now,
if that's what you want to do,
if somebody buys a meal, does that get them at least to the 4th morning? So that, maybe breakfast on the 4th morning before they head out?
It depends on the meal. if we're driving up to get the meal, no, it don't buy you one.
Because if somebody buys you
if it's a sit-down meal and we're going, if we're going to sit down and we got to order off a menu
on
together,
day 2, that'll
counts.
buy them breakfast day 4.
That'll buy you another morning.
That makes sense.
That'll buy you a morning. But if we're going through, you want fries with that?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Speaking of drive-up menus, I had this thought yesterday. Why do they still
things to think about?
Right. It makes you ponder. Why do they still build fast food restaurants with a first window?
I mean,
when was the last time you pulled up to a drive-thru restaurant and the dude on the thing said,
pull up to the first
one? It doesn't happen.
Nope.
Why the hell do they still have a first window?
I'm with you. Don't make sense.
Why
did they ever do it that way?
Because I think they used to have it, and Grose, you'd have to tell me.
I know.
Because you were there when drive-thrus were invented, and I was not born yet.
Wow.
So
shots fired.
It used to be you pull up and you pay at the first window, you get your stuff at the second window, keep this thing moving. Right? I think that's why they originally did it. But I pulled through a Taco Bell yesterday.
Wait, hold up. You still eating a Taco Bell, man?
Well, I went. Yeah, I did yesterday.
Did you get yourself a
That's
chalupa?
a violation.
Did you get a chalupa?
No, I did not get a chalupa. I just got some regular tacos.
That's a violation. We're going to have to start a segment or start a thing where we start talking about violations.
We could, and I had flashbacks, man, back in the day, and I don't remember how many drive-through windows they had when I was in school and it was late at night. Bean burritos with green sauce, and you pay the price the next day.
Yeah, you do.
And I tried that, and they're like, we don't do green sauce.
We can call the segment self-reporting. You got to self-report your
No, but we can do that at any time. We can do violation at any segment. I mean, that transcends any segment. Like if we hear something that just don't sound right, but hold on, that's a violation.
Yeah, hold up.
Hello, my name is Sean Crespin, and I have a violation report. Hello, Sean.
I'm imposing a postseason ban here.
So we reply with, "Hello, Sean."
Yes. So you can say something like, my mother-in-law is in town, and she's staying for 5 days. Wait, hold up.
Hold up. That's a violation.
That's a violation right there, brother. 3 days.
Played pickleball again this weekend.
Yep. Hold up. How'd it go?
Oh man, we were undefeated this weekend. I told you guys I'm too competitive. Took them out.
Lindsay's like,
took them out.
Damn it. And
I let her know. I let her know when she let the team down. Like,
what comes over him on the pickleball court?
Right.
Low key, she kind of thought it was hot though. You know
Pick
how
it up.
serious he was.
Yeah. She apologized to one of her friends. She goes, "You'll have to excuse his behavior because I get a little into it now. I'm gonna anything competitive.
Slam the pickleball racket on the floor."
So we're gonna call you Fun McEnroe.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, all right. Right out of the chute here, this guy coming at him.
I got 1 million of them, brother. I'll be here all week.
Keep coming.
So 3 days is what you get.
3 days.
That's
3 days.
the rule. So yeah, and I like the idea. We'll just fess up if we do something,
Self-reporting.
we violate.
Yep. Hold up.
I have to admit that I handed out Halloween candy.
Oh my gosh.
And I liked it.
Oh,
right. Or you put your Christmas lights up too early. Still haven't done. I haven't even gotten the stuff out of the attic yet. Is that a self-report? I have not put anything out. We're going to try to get the tree on Friday.
That's an individual sort of thing. Now, if you wait till like the 23rd, then that's a violation.
Okay, we're gonna try to go get the tree Friday night.
And if you don't take it down till Easter, that's a violation.
Okay, Easter's a little much.
I mean,
New Year's. You guys shoot for a New Year's takedown?
No, you can take it down. You got the week after New Year's.
Okay, that's fair.
The week after you got 7-day grace period after New Year's.
Shout out to Sean. No,
what's that?
Because he's got a guy for everything.
Absolutely, I do.
And I said,
I got this town on lock, man.
You do, and I hired a professional to do the outside lights this year.
Wow.
And Sean's guy.
Yeah.
My
Dan Flynn.
Mm-hmm. Did he do a good job?
I sent him a text. I said, Dan, here's a picture of my house. Hook me up. He's like, okay, I can do that. Threw out a price. Told me he'd be there. Didn't tell me when. He just said, I'll be there. Put you on the schedule.
Yep. He'll do it. You don't even got to be home. He'll just do it.
No. Wow. Yeah. We didn't even have to be home. I came home one night.
Lights were on.
House was lit up.
Yep.
Wow. I was like, wow.
That's good stuff.
Dan Flynn.
Hey.
Thank you, Dan Flynn.
And there was a short. And he came back the next day to fix it. So everything was working. And then we talked about Sean Crespin because I was laughing. He put the tape down because he's got the electrical cords everywhere. He put some tape down.
Right.
And I said, damn, you went to the Sean Crespin school of laying the tape out.
So let me ask you guys this because we brought this up.
Perfect.
And we're going to get into sports eventually. But what's the longest you've ever had house guests? What's like the most nightmarish house guest situation you've ever had?
I don't – just a couple days for me. Mine really falls into your rules. Because, again, my family and everything is from here, so I don't have people really traveling here. Now, I've been the house guest that would violate the Barry rule. I got family in New York, so we went out there and we stayed for a good 5 days.
Wow.
Ooh. Did you
feel
feel guilty?
I was not the host. I was the person there.
What about the flip side of the rule? Like, as the host, you're like, damn, these people are in my house. I can't walk around naked or whatever you do.
Yeah.
Now, if you're the guest for 5 days – like, are you feeling
You feel if you have any kind of self-awareness, you understand that you're pushing it a little bit. Now, this is my aunt's house out there, so she invited me and wanted me. She didn't want us to go because we hadn't seen her for whoever knows how long. You know how it gets. But, I mean, I've never had to host anybody more than 2-3 days.
So I got lucky because I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I'm not from here, but my mom lived here when all my nephews were younger, and they'd come out and they'd stay with mom.
Right.
So whatever the rule was, I was like, fine, I just go to my house. Right. And as you guys know, I go to Michigan occasionally, but I don't ever stay with family because when I go to Michigan, I need a house on the lake because I'm coming from the Inferno, and I want to be on the lake.
And see,
like, not on a lake, the lake.
Gotcha.
When you pay your own money, then you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
So I don't have any concept around 3 days, 5 days.
What about you? You ever a squatter? Have you ever had to enforce the rule?
I had house guests for 10 days.
Oh.
And it was my own brother.
Oh.
Damn Benedict Arnold. Stayed 10 days. I said, man.
You didn't bounce him?
Man, I gave him the side eye. I gave him the upside down eye. I gave him the vertical eye. I gave him every kind of eye.
Silent treatment.
I mean,
come down with your morning coffee. You go like, you still here?
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I think it wasn't that bad because they were kind of moving around. They weren't necessarily just in the house for 10 straight days. Like there was stuff where they were gone for big stretches of the day, so it didn't feel quite so heavy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there was a 10. About 10 days, and I was like, okay.
That was it.
That was it. That did it for me. And I love my brother. My brother's my heart.
Of course.
That's my guy.
I don't think this rule has anything to do with love or appreciation or personal at all.
It's comfort, man.
Yeah.
It's comfort. You can't feel like a prisoner in your own house.
No,
man.
I'm with that. I actually like this rule. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Now, you're that guy all the time, Grose, when you go out and visit your daughter in Mexico, New Mexico, right?
But they're in a hotel, though.
Oh, you're in a hotel.
We do usually an Airbnb.
Oh.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
you're
He's
fair.
paying his own
That's
money.
That's fair game.
That's all good. If it's your own money, if you're spending your own money, you can stay wherever as long as you want because somebody's getting paid. Somebody is like, hey, you want to stay longer?
Yeah.
Well, and in all fairness, like Meg, which in New Mexico, she's got herself and a roommate in a 2-bed. What am I going to do? So we do the Airbnb. They can come and go as they please. We had
That's
a
a
nice
beautiful
Thanksgiving
thing.
meal.
Airbnbs are a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
All right.
So
got to get to sports.
So we will institute a new
self-reporting rule.
So if there are things that we violate,
right? And if there's ever, if we ever find out that somebody had a violation and did not self-report,
there should be sanctions.
There will be sanctions.
There's got to be sanctions. I don't know what they are.
We'll come up with it this week.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All right, college football playoffs are set. Once again, we miss chaos. I don't know that the system's perfect, but it is what it is at this point. And what we got is Cincinnati and Alabama. That's your 4-1 game, and that's played at the Cotton Bowl. And then you've got the Orange Bowl, Georgia and Michigan, your 3-2 game. I don't know what we think. For me, I'm a Michigan fan, so I'm happy, right?
Congratulations to Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh, and you can tell. I mean, if you look at some of the stuff coming out of Ann Arbor these days, you can tell the weight of the world is lifted off their collective shoulders.
Yep.
The coaching staff felt it. The players, to a certain degree, feel it, although they come and go.
Yep.
But the players felt it and knew what was going on.
Yep.
The athletic director, the one that has to answer questions like, why is he still coaching here? He can't beat Ohio State and Michigan State. Why is he still coaching here? All those things that go with
points,
it,
though.
right?
Yep.
No, it is.
Yep.
And now all that seems to be washed away with the first appearance in the college football playoffs for Michigan. Cincinnati, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Big 12. Sorry for you.
Pac-12, sorry for you.
Big
10.
Big
10 is in there.
Big 10 gets Michigan. And, Cincinnati.
ACC, sorry for you.
Yeah, exactly. And for the AAC, Cincinnati bringing home the Bucks. So,
you know what this says, Mike? This says that it's an exclusive club and only the few can get in. No matter, even if you're in the Power 5, there's still an in crowd within the in crowd. There's that select group. Like, Deion Sanders, I believe, said one time famously, there should be a special section for Hall of Famers. Like, yeah, you're a Hall of Famer, but then there's the all-time Hall of Famers. Something to that effect. I'm misquoting him.
Sure.
But the fact is, if you're not a member of the SEC, you are not part of the in crowd because they are going to make sure that 2 of the SEC participants are well accounted for.
Sure. So let's get to that because we were talking before we started recording, and we always make that mistake. We got 5 minutes into a really good conversation.
Just push play, man. Just
put the headset on and start recording.
Yeah.
So to that point, you got Alabama 12-1, Michigan 12-1, Georgia 12-1, Cincinnati 13-0. They're in, right?
They're the in crowd.
So who has a beef on the outside looking in?
No one.
Oklahoma
My
State.
Irish don't have a beef because they lost to the undefeated team at home.
Yep, and Oklahoma State blew it.
Oklahoma State blew
They
it.
blew it.
Oklahoma. I was in a sports bar doing a radio show watching Oklahoma State, and I'm like, they can't get out of their own way. They got this thing on a silver platter, just waiting
Baylor
for them
was begging
to snatch it.
Hot potato. They were playing hot potato with the game. Here, you take it. I don't want it. You take it.
How many times did Oklahoma State in the second half, have the ball first and goal? At least twice that I know of.
Well, when they get the PI at the end of the game, how do you not score? Like that there's inexcusable to have not punched that in.
And your team, and I know we did a deep dive on Notre Dame a week ago. We don't need to rehash that in its entirety.
Nope. But congrats to Marcus Freeman.
Completely. I think the future, everything you see coming out of South Bend these days, you got to feel good about that. But Notre Dame 2021 edition, as long as Cincinnati's sitting where they're sitting, Notre Dame was stuck. They were blocked. There's nothing Notre Dame could do.
And I totally agree with it. I have no problem with it whatsoever. And I remember, Mike, this goes back to when I was a freshman at Notre Dame, and we were tied with Florida State. Mm-hmm. And head-to-head, we beat Florida State, but they gave Florida State the national championship. We finished number 2. It was just a coach's poll and then the media poll. And that always rubbed me the wrong way.
Was it split?
No, it wasn't split. Both gave it to Bobby Bowden because at the time – you had Under the Tarnished Dome had just come out. Coach Holtz wasn't the most beloved coach in all the world, and they were looking for any reason to stick it to him. Yeah. And unfortunately, we were caught in the crossfires as players. And with Coach Bowden, they were given the nod to go to the Orange Bowl, play Nebraska, and they were able to upset Nebraska and claim their first national championship.
And we talked about, if we had an 8-team playoff.
I like 8 because you get the 5 conferences champions in.
You can put some more structure around it. You can put some rules, if you will, to your point. 5 conference champions.
And then 3
best
at
4
large.
Get a bye, whatever you want to do. If you go to a 12-team,
I like 8. I don't like 12.
I understand that. I'm saying
I got you.
The only the winners, of course, are the TV network.
Yes.
Because that's who's going to benefit, and then the money's going to keep growing.
Yes.
And apparently, and we won't get into it now, but apparently there's some infighting and backbiting about that already, where whatever they agreed to this summer might not
follow the money
be happening.
Follow the money.
And Sean made the point. Well, all you're getting now is a rematch of Alabama and Georgia 2 games later, and maybe you are, maybe you're not. But if you've got an 8-game, let's say this year had an 8-game structure. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma State's mad because they're number 9, but you've got an 8-game structure. Is there anybody in an 8, is Mississippi going to come in here and change a Georgia-Alabama final? Is Baylor going to change that? I think you get 2 extra games, but you get the same outcome.
Mike, anytime that you lace them up, anything is possible. Because remember, we just said there are 3 of the 4 teams that have a loss on their record. Mm-hmm. And I still to this day cannot figure out how the hell did Texas A&M beat Alabama. I can't figure that out.
Especially after that SEC championship.
I can't reconcile that in my brain. How did A&M beat Alabama? So with that being said, anytime that you have to go out on the field and lace them up, there's the possibility. I'm not saying that it's probable, but it's possible. And if you get more opportunities to see a team, look at my Phi Slamma Jamma from back in the day.
Thank you.
There was no way they were supposed to. If you lined up NC State and University of Houston 10 times, U of H is going to beat them 9. But all it takes was that one day to be off, to have a few buckets not go their way, slow the game down, and then you get that miracle by Chris Washburn, or David Washburn, I should say.
And if you look
getting upset again, I'm getting pissed all over.
Don't go there. If you look at it, we mentioned the
Jim Valvano.
The Big 12's
Bump
out.
Jim Valvano. I said it.
Wow.
Bump it.
I don't know what to say to that.
That's right.
I don't know what to say to that. So I'll just say, look, we talked about the Big 12 out. Baylor was number 7, so that's how far away they were.
Yep.
And even worse for the Pac-12 and the ACC. Mm-hmm. In the final poll, Utah finishes 11. Where are you at, Oregon?
Bye-bye.
And Pittsburgh finishes 12. Utah has 3 losses. Pittsburgh has 2. So, that's what it's going to take, I think, and I hate to say it this way for certain conferences, but you lower the bar and you say, here's an 8-team playoff. And what has to happen is for the Power 5, you get an automatic bid, almost like the NCAA basketball tournament. Yep. Now we're talking about 68 teams there.
Sure.
But if you have an 8-team playoff, Utah gets to come even with 3 losses because that's what they put into the rules, that you got to have a conference champion from each of the Power 5 conferences.
But doesn't that make those type of champions that much more special? Like you think about the Villanovas in basketball, you think about the NC States that year, you think about teams that came out of nowhere and won those championships. Yeah. I think there's too much pressure on these kids, on 18, 19, 20-year-old kids to be perfect, Mike. If you start looking at it and say, okay, you had a bad week.
Yep.
Well, that happens when you're 17, 18, 19 years old. You're going to have some bad days. And that's all it takes. If you have one, for you to lose everything that you've worked for that whole season, and for there not to have some sort of reward system for winning your conference. There has to be a reward for that. Otherwise, why play conference championships? Why not just have open competition, open scheduling, and everybody just play whoever the hell they want to play?
I think we know the answer why you play conference championships when it comes down to it. But that being said, and I sometimes get accused of being too hard on the Pac-12, and I definitely don't want it to sound like that, because I would say, if we did have an 18 playoff right now, do you want any part of Utah right now? I mean, what they won?
I'm just saying
6-7 in a row, I think, to end the season, and they were scoring points like crazy, and their defense all of a sudden looks good. They just slipped up early. They BYU and San Diego State, I believe, took care of Utah, but I don't. If you had a playoff like that, I think Ohio State's in for a game in a Rose Bowl. I guess my point.
Mike, there's only been one professional team in all of sports to go undefeated, and they talk about them ad nauseum. And if you remember, that team, they didn't play a whole lot of great teams in their way to a Super Bowl. So when you start looking at it, like, why are you being held to this ridiculous standard that you've got to go undefeated in order to win a championship? It's whoever's playing the best at the right time. And if you win your conference championship, then probably you're one of those teams that's figured it out in time enough to make some noise when it comes to the postseason. Give them a chance. If you're not going to award the conference champions, then how are we ever going to know what those teams could ever truly be?
Notre Dame coming in for the Fiesta Bowl.
Can't wait.
I'm excited. I think it's a good matchup with Oklahoma State.
I'm excited.
Are there too many bowl games though?
Yes.
In total.
Yes. There are games that are going to start in about 2 weeks.
That's right.
And nobody's going to even know about it. Like, you're going to be sitting at home one day, Mike. You're going to be coming home from work, or you'll just be, just logging off or whatever, and you're going to be flipping through the channels, and you're going to be in the middle of the Meineke Car Care Bowl.
Friday, December 17th, the Bahama Bowl kick off.
Wow.
Middle Tennessee and Toledo.
Wow.
See, I have a different –
You don't have to watch, though.
I have a different view on this thing.
Let the kids have
But
a
they
game.
want you to watch. Why have it on TV if you don't care if they're being watched or not?
There's a lot of things that people want me to watch. That doesn't mean I have to watch it. But here's what I think. If a city or a stadium, because you look at like L.A. added a game, I guess. Texas just added a game for the stadium.
Another one?
To put a game in a stadium.
DJ Khaled.
But if you have a game, you meet the NCAA rules around, you got to make minimum payouts. I forget what it's up to now, but there's a dollar amount that if your team shows up and people buy tickets and ESPN wants to put it on TV because they're going to start advertising it's the most whatever time of the year, it's the bowl season on ESPN. And people show up and two teams show up, I'm fine with it. To your point, I don't have to watch it. I got no interest to watch the Bahama Bowl. I'll be completely honest with you.
So would you rather watch the Bahama Bowl or would you rather watch a regular season NBA game?
Bahama Bowl.
Wow.
In December? I'm not watching the NBA in December unless I have to.
Like, come on, man. You're killing me, Small.
It's the same thing.
I actually somewhat agree with them, and I love hoops.
I love hoops too, but it's 82 games, man.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the Suns and the Warriors, which we'll get to later on in this podcast. But what is the equivalent in the NBA in December of Middle Tennessee and Toledo? If you're asking me, am I tuning in to watch Detroit, and Toronto? No, I ain't doing it.
Okay. So last night we saw the Lakers and the Celtics. Would you watch the Lakers and the Celtics before?
I did.
Okay, but if there was the bowl game on, which one would you have chosen?
Man, I'd be going back and forth. That was my remote.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, I can't. I'm sorry. I mean, even some college stuff that's rolling on TV now. And this time of year, my priority would be football over basketball, and honestly, college over pro right now.
Okay.
Basketball and football, right?
All right. But I'll tell you this, though. For college basketball, make sure you check out Jaden Ivey. Just remember that name from Purdue. Purdue Boilermakers, number one team in the country.
Yeah, and all the land.
Jaden Ivey, his mother is the head coach at Notre Dame for women's basketball. She's a good friend. Okay. I'll just say that. And I can honestly say I had a hand in her coming to Notre Dame. So I'll just leave that right there.
Cheer.
But he is an outstanding player. He's going to be a lottery pick.
He was on the banner of ESPN when they voted Purdue number one.
He is special, Mike.
Yeah.
When you get a chance, just check the young man out. Just watch him move. Watch him do his thing.
Meanwhile, North Texas and Miami of Ohio are playing in the Frisco Bowl.
Wow.
Now, but like I said, if two teams show up They pay the money out.
Yeah.
ESPN shows up with the cameras.
Nah, man.
I'm all right with it. I really am.
Nah, bro.
I think of all these games, I think there's only 2 that aren't on ESPN.
I mean, they
and I don't know why they don't have them,
but they don't. I mean, no.
I think the Sun Bowl for some reason is always on CBS, and then the game down in Tucson is on something not named ESPN.
See how we're talking about it? It's on some channel.
It is. Every game is televised.
Some bowl is on some channel.
Every game is televised.
That's how we're talking about it.
And people are doing bowl picks and pools and brackets, and they're having fun with it.
That in itself should tell you
that
there's too many bowl games.
Gambling.
Because we're talking about some bowl game in some city.
Like I said, I don't have to watch it. I don't have to like it. And I'm not even going to talk about it. But if they roll out the red carpet in Albuquerque and 2 teams show up to play a game, let them play.
They should have made the left.
Let them play.
At Albuquerque.
Yeah,
man, that's an old.
I know who.
You better know who that is.
Yeah, I know who.
All you listeners out there.
That's right.
That is Looney Tunes. If you don't know that, then we can't be friends. If you don't know about Looney Tunes and Bugs Bunny, we can't be friends.
Full circle back to college football playoffs.
Yes.
Is there any chance that it's not Georgia, Alabama? I know what you just said around you lace them up, you play. Michigan's playing good football. Do you get and
they ain't playing SEC football.
They ain't playing SEC football. Was it a bad day for Georgia? Is Alabama that much better? If you're Jim Harbaugh, did Alabama give you a blueprint on possibly how to handle Alabama, or was it just one of those days?
Well, they could have given them the blueprint all they want, but you still have to have the players to carry out that blueprint. And looking at Alabama's players and looking at Michigan's players, there's a discrepancy there.
Yeah.
I mean, we can dance around it all we want. And I gotta say this, Mike. I like Hutchinson. I like him a lot as a defensive end. But what has he done that Will Anderson hasn't done?
Yeah, you see that coming out a lot, right? And
he's a Heisman finalist, Mike.
No, and I think is it? I know he is.
And Will Anderson has better numbers across the board on a better team.
No doubt.
How is he more touted, highly touted than him?
Is it what we've been talking about, though? Is it SEC fatigue? Like, is it like we need?
Well, the Heisman winner is going to be from his own team.
Right. But I'm just saying
quarterback.
In terms of how this thing is decided, because I really think that, beyond the state of Michigan, beyond Wolverine fans, I think that people are like, damn, it's a good story to have a new team in there. Because I think Cincinnati feels a little bit gimmicky to a lot of people. Well, and that's not the right word.
We're going to find out exactly who they are when they roll them out.
That may not be the right word, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Cincinnati.
No, I got what
undefeated,
you're saying.
But I think the fact that it's not – because what would this been in the past? You got Alabama, Georgia, and you would substitute in something like Ohio State. You substitute in Clemson. Now you've got Michigan, you've never been here before.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're seeing right now. And, he did play well in the highest-rated college football game of the year against Ohio State.
I got you.
Yeah.
But I just look at Anderson, though. His numbers are across the board. More tackles for losses, more sacks, better ranking. And when you start – okay, so let's look at Oklahoma. Oklahoma once upon a time had 3 straight Heisman finalists, 2 won, and the other one finished second in the Heisman voting. So did they get fatigued for Heisman voting then?
No,
for Oklahoma, all I'm saying is you gotta reward the best player for the best performance, and I think if you're gonna go defense, which I'm all for having defense in the conversation for Heisman Trophy, you've got to have the best defensive player, not just a guy who is a great story.
Right.
You got to have a guy that has actually gone out there and laced them up and done outstanding week in and week out. And I think Will Anderson definitely should have taken the place of one of those quarterbacks, Mike.
Yeah. If you're playing, I think to your point, if you're playing pickup in the backyard and Will Anderson's there, you pick him.
There's no question about it.
Like when you were kids, when you would.
Yeah.
All right, we'll step aside here on the other side, the NFL, Cardinals, playoff races, cold and windy in Buffalo, all that coming up on Train and Grose.
Yeah.
Train and Grose.
Miss Tasty gets you every time.
Welcome back in. 5 games left in the NFL regular season.
It all comes down to this.
It's December the 8th. And let's rewind to September the 8th.
Okay.
If I would have told you guys that the division leaders in the National Football Conference, Dallas 8-4, leading the East.
No threat.
If I would have told you that, would you have bought it? We'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
At the beginning of the year? Yeah, I bought it because they look good. When they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1, they looked like a team that was going to compete. And in the first month of the season, they looked like one of the best teams in all of football.
Speaking of the Bucs, I said, okay, they're on top of the South, 9-3. You good with that?
Yeah, of course. They just won the Super Bowl. They got everybody back. They got everybody back, even non-starters they brought back.
Green Bay on top of the Central, the Central, the North. What do they call
North.
that? The North.
I'm a little surprised by that one.
9-3.
I'm a little surprised because with everything that was going on with Aaron Rodgers before the season started, how they were able to basically compartmentalize, push that to the side, and get to the business on the field.
But the other options in the division are the Bears, the Lions, and the Vikings.
And the Vikings, I thought, had a good chance.
I thought so, too. They just can't get out of their own way.
Well, exactly. We talked about the Vikings as the possible heir apparent, particularly if Aaron Rodgers wouldn't come in. And if Aaron Rodgers wasn't there, I don't even know if they might have been, but that could have gone down as the worst division ever because those three teams are awful.
Going into that Lions game last week, they were the only team in the league that had led every game by at least a touchdown at one point. The Vikings were. Oh. They had led every game by at least a touchdown going into that Lions game last week and had a losing record. How's that possible?
Right.
Well, and then it's possible because y'all just don't have the ability to close. It's not a very mature football team.
Which is weird because you've got a veteran coach, you've got a veteran quarterback.
He's playing what? Dude's got like 20. Cousins has like 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
I feel like they're empty carbs, though. I feel like they're empty carbs.
You think so?
I just don't. I don't think he gets the timely touchdowns when he needs them to win the game.
Sure.
Because like you said, they're able to start fast, but they're like that kid that's got all the strength in the world but no endurance.
It's like
he can if you run a 40-yard dash, he's got you. But if you got to run 100, he ain't gonna make it.
It's like the guy that hits home runs when he's up 10-2 or down 10-2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like wasn't A-Rod like that a couple times when he won MVP? Empty calorie.
And the wild card, no pun intended, in the NFC conversation is the 10-2 Arizona Cardinals.
Hey.
Like they can put a bow on the NFC West this weekend.
Yep.
Or Monday night.
Monday night. They can be
in grand fashion.
Yeah. They'll be up 3 games on the Rams, plus hold the tiebreaker with 4 to play. Meaning they'd have to lose every game. Rams would have to win out to end up losing that division, which isn't going to happen.
No.
So.
And the Rams aren't going to win out.
No.
So.
No. I mean, we could spend a whole segment on empty calories and teams that are disappointing.
Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff.
And mortgage the future to get where they are. Like we saw this coming with Kroenke. You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to get ugly. What's your term? Quick, fast, in a hurry?
Quick, fast, and in a hurry, brother.
Because it's going to get ugly because he just wrote a big check to the NFL and he ain't going to be spending it on the team anytime soon. But that's
neither here nor there.
That's a topic for another day. Arizona Cardinals 10-2. Went back to Chicago last weekend coming off the bye. DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, everybody played. And for good measure, they hooked up on the first score just to make sure everybody knew they were back.
Yep.
And, Kyler Murray, even though it looked a little shaky at the beginning, I think he dropped the ball and then, had one slide out of his hand. I can play in cold weather if I have to, I think was the message there.
Yep.
And defense did what they had to, or
they did what they wanted to.
The Bears gave them gifts that they took advantage of. But either way, you get another road win. Undefeated on the road, 7-0 on the road for the Arizona Cardinals this year. Won every game by 10 or more points.
I think by 10 or more points is the most impressive stat of that whole thing. The fact that you're winning road games by 10, like they're not even close when you get to the end of the game. To me, that says that's a team that's focused, that's a team that's locked in, and a team that's got some maturity to it. And you don't always associate that with some of the bigger figures in the Cardinals team right now. When you start talking about Cliff Kingsbury, has he been there long enough? You talk about Kyler Murray, has he matured? You start looking at the defensive side. Well, okay, that's a very mature team, and I think a lot like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Arizona Cardinals are doing it in a way that nobody expected them to do it. The Chiefs are on a 5-game winning streak because of their defense. The Cardinals are winning their games primarily because of what they're doing on defense. Yes, they're getting timely contributions from the offense, and they're doing what they need to do. But looking at those games, the defense are the real MVPs of both those teams. And I'm not saying that they're on a collision course or anything, but I'm very impressed with how the Cardinals are winning because it's not how you thought that they were going to win going into the season. If I'd have told you, Mike, that the Cardinals would be winning these games by holding teams under 20 points, I think you'd be looking at me like, well, are you sure about that? I mean, I'm not sold on that.
No, I'm with you. And we talked about that.
Yes.
We talked about that.
Yes.
We talked about, is Cliff Kingsbury going into the season, is he a liability?
Was he on the hot seat? I mean, this is a guy that, hey, the way that the season ended, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's no question about that. And, Kyler Murray coming into the season playing for his next – or not his first contract, but next contract.
Right. The big one.
The one that's going to set him up.
Yes.
Right?
For life.
And he's more than earned whatever he's got coming. And, veterans stepping up. A.J. Green's not old and washed up. I mean, all of it. We could go down the whole list. But
Jordan Hicks. Think about Jordan Hicks and where he was.
I was just going to ask you that question.
Yeah.
What's Jordan Hicks thinking right now? Because they drafted his replacement. They told him he could look for a trade.
They tried to trade him. Like,
right.
they tried to trade him themselves.
They couldn't, and they told him, go ahead.
Go find one.
We'll accommodate you.
If you can do your job, if you can do our job better than us, we'll gladly help you.
And, oh, by the way, who's the NFC Defensive Player of the Week this week?
Yeah, and who actually beat out said guy.
Yeah. What, he played 3 snaps? Zaven Collins played 3 snaps last week.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it just goes to show, like, the premise of their argument, and you talked about this. You don't just walk in and start as a rookie linebacker in the National Football League on a veteran defense.
In the middle of your defense, Mike. That's one of the more important positions in your defense. Every time you see great defenses, you always hear about great linebackers. Yes, you have great defensive linemen and guys that can, you got a Michael Strahan here or there, you got a Reggie White here and there. But for the most part, when you think about the all-time great defenses, you start with their linebackers.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the other thing, and I know I said this, when you look at Jordan Hicks, how he handled himself. And I'm not even talking about the play on the field.
Pros pro.
Like, he said the right things, he did the right things, and I don't know how hard or how close any type of trade was, but he's probably happy, and they're probably happy that it didn't come to fruition, and he is nothing short of remarkable. How he's handled it and how it's worked out for everybody.
I hope he gets all the money he desires.
All of it.
And if it's not here, so be it, because they tried to let you go.
Yeah.
And business is business, and he can say, hey, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, but
gotta go.
You've shown me that you've been eyeing the other girl. You're with me, but you've been eyeing her the whole time.
Gotta go. Hey, obviously the NFL this year, only the number 1 seed in each conference gets the bye. How important from a player's perspective? Like, we talked about the bye week coming a little bit late for this team, which in retrospect was the exact right time.
Perfect.
So now you fast forward, you're playing in 2 games in January this year.
Yep.
And if you somehow figure out a way to secure the number 1 seed, you hold off Green Bay, you hold off Tampa, I don't know if Dallas is even in that conversation. Let's just say for the sake of argument they are. And you secure the number 1 seed. How important, besides the actual home field advantage, to have that week off before the playoffs start, how important is that?
Mike, I will tell you, if we didn't have 2 playoff games at home in 2008, there's no way we play in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I've said that many times before. It's that important. Regular season football is not postseason football. When you start getting into the playoffs, where you play does matter. And the timing and all of those other things do come into place. If you can keep your schedule as regular and routine as possible and then play in the friendly confines of your own stadium where your fans are going to be for you, there's nothing like that energy.
You don't have to get on an airplane.
You don't have to get on an airplane. You don't have to leave your family. You don't have to sleep in a hotel. You don't have to get up extra early because you're somewhere and you can eat the food that you want to eat. You can sit in the locker room that you normally sit in, and you don't have to worry about any inconveniences whatsoever. I'm telling you, Mike, that playoff run we had in 2008, without those 2 games at home, there's no way. Because the Carolina game was important because we needed it from a mental standpoint, but playing Atlanta and playing Philly at home, though that crowd, that location was all the difference for us.
And I know, and Chicago versus something like Green Bay, not even a comparison. When you say, well, we can go on the road in the weather and play.
Who wants to go to Green Bay?
No,
in January?
And that's my point exactly. And this team, which makes that road record all the more impressive, this team is built to play in Arizona.
Yes.
The fast field.
Yes.
The nice weather.
Yes.
If it's even a little windy or a little chance of rain, the roof is going to be closed and they're going to be in the friendly confines.
Yep.
If it happens to be sunny and 62 degrees in January, they'll open the roof up just for the TV cameras. But they're built for that stadium too.
Mike, I'm telling you, the one of my favorite memories of all time in my entire football life was that NFC Championship game. They closed the roof and they added all of those seats in the red zone. And I've never had an environment that loud for me.
Right.
And to be the home team and to feel that Mike, it was so tangible. I'm telling you, I could reach out my hand and I could feel it. It was it was tangible. It was something you could actually feel, that momentum that was for us. And I don't think we could have played any better than what we did the first half. We held on in that second half, but we got it home. And I'm telling you, had we had that game in Philly again, or had to go to New York when they were the number 1 seed, it would have been a totally different feel because we would have been freezing. We'd have been over there by the heaters. It's just a completely different atmosphere.
Yeah, no. So that makes that home field, that number 1 seed, that much more important. Over on the AFC side.
Yeah.
We were talking about this while you stepped out for a minute. Sean and I were like, New England. All right, they win in Buffalo. Is New England winning this division, or is Buffalo giving it away?
Mike, New England took it from them Monday night.
All right.
They punched them in the face, Mike. They looked them square in the eye, and they pulled a Aaron Rodgers. They said, we own you. We're going to throw the ball 3 times the entire game. We're going to run it 46 times down your throat. And the majority of those formations, they had an extra tackle. They didn't even pretend to try to throw the football. They came at you. That was as clear a message to Buffalo as I have ever seen one team give another team, that we are more physical than you. We are going to dominate you. I hope you had a nice year enjoying that AFC East crown while we were down without our quarterback and 8 starters on defense. Yep. But now we're back, and we're here to reclaim what's rightfully ours.
And they to your point, it
was dominant. They punched them in the face. They kept punching them in the face, and Buffalo could not get off the mat.
Now you do the same exercise that we did for the NFC.
Okay.
New England's sitting at top. They're 9-4 right now.
I mean, and
Tennessee, Buffalo, Baltimore, where are these teams at? Like
they're looking up at New England.
No, obviously they're number 1 right now. And the other thing too, when it comes down to tiebreakers, obviously head-to-head matters, but a lot of these teams haven't played each other. So the first tiebreaker is conference record. They're 7-1 in the AFC. Everybody else has at least 3 losses. So they're building a cushion that pretty quickly is going to be insurmountable.
Mike, if you are Bill Belichick and you just are in the privacy of your own house and there's nobody around and you get to just sit back and just reflect on what last year was. 8 players opt out for COVID. Tom Brady goes south to Tampa, who you tried to kick out anyway, and you finally got your wish. But now you have a rookie quarterback. If he does this with a rookie quarterback, Mike, that will be more impressive than what Tom Brady did last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm sorry. Because Tampa Bay had veterans. He handpicked the guys that he wanted to come down there and play with him. You're talking about a rookie, a guy that was winning a national championship last year for Alabama, is now, if he even gets them to an AFC championship game, Mike, that will be one of the best coaching jobs I've ever seen, and it will forever solidify Bill Belichick as one of the best ever to do it. We talked about Tom Brady as a player. That Super Bowl last year solidified him because he did it without Belichick. If Belichick gets to an AFC championship game without Brady and does it with this version of the New England Patriots, this will be his coup de grace as far as his all-time coaching job.
Patriots on a bye this week. Then they go to
How convenient is that?
Then they go to Indianapolis, play the Colts, and then they have a return engagement with Buffalo in – they still in Foxborough? In Foxborough.
Yeah.
And then they got the 2 Florida teams to close it out. So if anybody's going to make a statement, it's got to happen before Jacksonville-Miami, because Miami and Jacksonville ain't doing nothing about this.
Mike, did you hear actually Bill Belichick, like there was a radio interview where he was actually joking.
I know.
He was joking. He's in a good mood.
Who are you? What have you done with Bill Belichick?
He's hugging and in a good mood on the sideline. Mike, I'm telling you, he is enjoying this as much as any Super Bowl that he's previously coached in or won. And I think he's been waiting. He's been savoring this opportunity to do this without Tom Brady. And I guarantee you that there is no way. And this further proves the point that he never really wanted to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, even though that proved to be a prudent move.
Yeah.
I mean, even though his hand was forced to do it, it still worked out for Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots.
7 wins in a row going into the bye. And, you look at the defense. So we talk about Mac Jones and all, that's fine. You got 6 points, 7 points, shutout, 13 points, 10 points. That's the New England defense the last 5 games.
That sounds like 2001 Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds just like that team with a very young quarterback and Tom Brady who had just unseated Drew Bledsoe as the starting quarterback, who they had just given $100 million to, by the way. And, I mean, Mike, what else can we say about the man? The fact that you just won a football game, you threw the ball 3 times and you ran it 46 times.
Dude, and I go back to this. Like, what? I get what we're saying about the Patriots, but what does this say about the Bills? Because the Bills, this is a team that was supposed to be in the Super Bowl this year or competing for the Super Bowl out of the AFC.
This says that Bill Belichick is playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers. And it's been that way for quite some time. That's what it says. It says that he is basically running laps around the rest of the coaching world as far as the NFL is concerned.
19 passing yards.
We always say we're going to miss Tom Brady and we're going to miss certain players when they're gone. We're going to miss Bill Belichick when he's gone.
19 passing yards.
2 completions. He threw the ball 3 times, had 2 completions. 2 or 3 for 19 yards. And you won on the road. You won on the road with that. You had a better game plan for the weather, and it wasn't even your city.
Right. Real quickly, weather talk. You've told this story before.
Yes.
I know the stories.
There you go.
But you played Indianapolis, Dome.
Yep.
Broncos. I think Denver gets a bad rap. It snows in Denver, but Denver's not a cold city.
I had a cold game.
I know you did.
Against the Colts.
And, of course, you ended up in Arizona.
Yep.
But you see, not so much during the game, but the pregame stuff that was coming out, like the late afternoon pictures coming out of Buffalo were just miserable.
Awful.
Cold, wind.
Yes.
And if you've not lived back there, like I lived in Michigan, it's not the cold, it's not the snow. It's the cold and snow when the wind's blowing.
The wind.
Once the wind starts blowing.
When you hear that, you're in trouble.
Coldest game you ever played in?
Cleveland. 1999. We were December 20th. So it's a tie. Cleveland, 1999, and
New England, right?
New England, 2008.
I was going to say,
I still got frostbite in this finger because of that game. New England.
That was a long flight home.
Ooh,
See, we
the
know
longest.
We can tell the stories for you.
We had to deplane twice, or we had to de-ice twice in 2 different cities. It was that cold.
And I think we talked. I don't know if we did it on a podcast. And if we are, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself.
That's all right.
I've only been on a plane a couple times when they de-iced. Is there anything? I don't want to say scary.
It's scary. Yes, it's scary. It is scary.
We had that leaving our charter leaving ASU's last game, Oregon State. We had to de-ice the plane before we left.
Just imagine a 747 going through a car wash.
That's what it is.
It's basically, yeah. They pour. I think I don't know if it's water or what.
Antifreeze.
Antifreeze. Then.
Basically.
Yeah. Because we did it one time in Denver. I was traveling with the basketball team.
Yeah.
We played a game in the afternoon. We were flying to Florida.
Yeah.
And they said, well, this is the last flight of the day. We are shutting the airport down. And they said, we're going to have special something. And they had the trucks, the de-icing trucks. They had the trucks drive out to the runway. And this plane was getting ready to your point, it went through the car wash, taking off. And you can't see out the windows. It's snowing so hard.
Mike, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I said it just made me feel good when we landed in Florida.
Mike, when we de-iced in New England, or was it Rhode Island? I think we took off from Rhode Island. They ran out of antifreeze. They ran out of de-icing. So they had to go call the guy who was in charge, who was at home asleep, got him out of bed. He had to go get some and bring it to the airport.
No way.
They didn't have enough antifreeze to get us home. We couldn't take off. Mike, this is after getting beat to hell 47-7. So we had to sit there for 2.5 hours and wait on some freaking antifreeze to leave. this godforsaken place.
And then when you left,
And when we left, we didn't even have enough gas. We had to go to Minnesota. So
here's what I don't understand, though, and I get it. You're flying from Rhode Island to Arizona.
Yeah,
and they said, let's go to Minnesota to get some gas. Where you got to de-ice again.
And de-ice, yes. We had to get both ice and gas, or the antifreeze and gas.
Texas ain't got gas? Can't stop in Texas on the way home?
I mean,
I'm looking at a map. Minnesota, straight line, Texas. If you can fly.
Rhode Island, then you go over to Minnesota, then down.
But I'm talking about here's Minnesota on the map, here's Texas on the map.
Yeah.
You're flying through that line.
Yeah.
They said, let's just go to Minnesota because we didn't get enough de-icing.
I don't think we had enough to get to Texas. I mean, I'm just Mike. One of the worst flight experiences I've ever had, because not only were we cold, but everybody's feeling some kind of way because we just got our heads kicked in, 47-7, and I had frostbite in my finger, by the way.
And the wind,
the wind.
Because if you watch that game the other night, like the field, there wasn't snowing that hard. And there wasn't snow piled up, because we've seen those games where it's piled up on the sidelines, or in Denver where they're shoveling the lanes off, or the yard lines off.
Cleveland is cold, Mike. I'll tell you, Cleveland was cold. It was 20 below, Mike.
And Cleveland and Detroit are the same thing. And Detroit always had indoor stadiums, so it was never an issue.
Cleveland was rough.
Living in that, because it's cold, it's wet, it's just no. That's why I live here. That's why I live here.
We went out, Mike. We tried to be tough guys real quick. We tried to be tough guys. I'll never get this. It's 1999. We tried to be tough guys and go out there with no sleeves on. We got to the end of the tunnel where it opened up. We're gonna turn right back in and go back and get the sleeves. We didn't even warm up. We just setting up. We're going back. We're talking all this smack in the tunnel, like you know how you get.
I don't need it. Game? Let's go.
I mean, we had the what do you call that? The
Vaseline.
Vaseline. Yes, we had Vaseline on our sleeves, and we're like, oh yeah, we about to go do this, baby. We were in the middle of a 10-game win streak. Man, we felt that wind. We're taking it on back in, buddy. We don't need warm ups. We can warm up right before the game.
Equipment manager meets you at the door.
He didn't even know, it was an onslaught. I mean, my gosh.
What's up, tough guys?
Yeah.
Mac Jones apparently wore a scuba suit,
like a
wetsuit.
He got
this
that from
week.
Tom Brady.
Got it from Tom Brady.
You
ever see anybody do that before?
No, I never. No,
I never even heard of it.
But I mean, I've never been anywhere where it was a thought. I've never really played in a cold weather environment where that kind of thought. It was okay. We need something to offset.
But how smart is that?
It's brilliant. I mean, hey, again.
I hate Tom Brady.
But it ain't even Tom Brady. It's Mac Jones.
But it went from Tom Brady to who's the backup quarterback that's there right now? Can't remember his name.
Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, it went from Brady to Hoyer, and Hoyer told Mac Jones about it.
But you know who has the common denominator of all three of them?
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick. Thank you so much.
Hate him too? But you're damn right. We will miss him when he's gone because you got to have a villain.
He's playing chess, not checkers. Everybody else is playing checkers.
Got to have a villain. Got to have
somebody.
What
makes the NFL great. No matter what team you're a fan of, there's a villain out there.
You hate him.
Hate him.
I don't hate him. I just respect. I hate the Cowboys, but I respect the Patriots because you respect greatness.
You have to. Yeah. It goes from a point of God, I hate this team. Why do they always have everything that's so good? And then it just turns into this. God, they're great. You know what I mean? It turns from this I hate them. Why do they get to have it? To what are you going to do?
Well,
they're amazing.
It's just interesting to see how it's kind of come because it was always Brady and Belichick.
Right.
I hate Brady and Belichick, and now they had their divorce, as you said, and then you kind of see the camps they did it because of Brady. They did it because of Belichick. When they did it because they were together. And they did a lot of good for a lot of years. For me, I never cared about the Patriots one way or another, but it was Tom Brady. He was a Michigan guy, so I'm like, all right, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
They can never bother me.
But think about this, Mike, as a Detroit fan, think about the Bulls.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
He's the villain.
Hated the Bulls. Well,
it started with the Celtics.
Started off hating the Bulls.
Right.
But then you learn to appreciate them because they, 6 for 6. I mean, you gotta love it.
You want to know, for me as a Pistons fan, and really that's when I watched a lot of basketball. I would go home and I would go to those games.
Right.
And the team that I hate more than the Bulls is the Celtics.
Wow.
Because that's when it started. That was the early. And sure, there was the Jordan rules, and it was physical. We've talked about that.
Because they were the team that was your big brother.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? And
you had to go through them in order to get to where you wanted to go.
The stuff you saw in the gardens there. I even hate the announcer. I know him, Johnny Most.
Phillips.
Wrong team. No,
oh, yeah.
the radio guy for the the Boston Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Most. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the old dude still, like, from old school. Probably smoking a cigar, calling the game. That guy, exactly.
Steal my bird.
Bill Laimbeer, throw him in jail. I'm like, come on, man. So, yeah, absolutely. You got to have that villain. And for me,
you gotta
as a
love
Pistons fan, it was the Celtics.
Yeah.
It was the Celtics. I disliked the Bulls, but to your point, then at some point you just got to look back and say, damn.
They were great.
Yeah.
They were great. It was greatness.
And when you're a fan of a bad team, like, you have a lot of villains because everybody's better than you. So you're just
and everybody's kicking your ass.
Yeah, so like being a 30-plus year Raider fan, I hate everybody, man. The hell with all of you.
But you at least got to the Super Bowl in 2002. You at least got there.
Yeah, and then how'd that turn out?
You know, the other thing, though, is when you're –
It was a bad day.
Don't bring that up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of overlap as a sports town, between Phoenix and Detroit. There's a lot of overlap. And you're sitting there as a city that you got a chip on your shoulder because you're not Chicago if you're in Detroit.
Yeah.
And in
you're not
Arizona –
not even Toronto in Detroit.
Well, no. And in Arizona, you hate the L.A. teams.
Yeah.
L.A. teams don't care about Phoenix teams. No. And I think to a certain degree Chicago teams don't care about Detroit.
No, they don't.
Right? But you're sitting here, beat L.A.
Right.
They swam in our pool, whatever. All these things you just get all worked up about because it's L.A.
I don't think it was the swimming part. I think it was the other part.
I think it was the relieving yourself. There's a lot of that. Like, for instance,
don't pee in my pool.
When the Suns were making their run, to the playoffs every year before the long drought, and they couldn't get past the Spurs, right?
And then it was the Dallas
Hated
Mavericks.
the Spurs, though.
Yeah.
I had a chance to work an NBA All-Star game with – there's always people from around the league, right?
Yeah.
One of the people I was working with was a game operations person with the Spurs. And I asked him, do you guys hate us as much as we hate you? He goes, we don't even think about you. We beat you every year.
Yep.
I was like,
No
good
big
point.
deal.
To them, it was the Lakers at that time. They were like, we got to get over the Lakers. We don't even care about you.
Right.
It's like, oh, that hurts so bad, but it's so true.
It is true.
Yeah.
It is true. And the same thing would be if you worked in Detroit and talked to Chicago. It'd be the same thing.
I mean, crazy.
All right, on the other side, we'll do a quick hit on the NBA. And still to come, you ready?
I'm
Dad
ready.
jokes?
I'm ready.
And how's the
I'm
crack
getting ready
staff
right
doing
now.
out back?
We're getting there.
Are we?
Yeah.
We're going to do some pump the brakes, too. That's coming up. Training Gross.
Train and Gross.
Breaking news. Since first time since Halloween or something like that, the Phoenix Suns lost a basketball game.
Wow. Crazy.
Went to San Francisco, lost to the Warriors. But don't worry. Suns and the Warriors tied for the best record in all the league at 20-4. And I heard somebody, and I don't know if I agree with this or not because, what's the old saying? You play to win the game.
Herm Edwards.
But somebody made the point that, maybe it takes a little bit of, not pressure necessarily, but just takes that card off the table for now. Like, they're not constantly getting asked about winning streak. I don't know if I buy that with this team because, as we've been talking about ad nauseum, I don't want to say they're boring, but it's boring the fact that all they do is win. Like, you're watching games, and even games, because there's been games in this streak that they didn't play well.
Right.
They won the game.
Mike, I don't think it could be boring until you have a championship under your belt. There can't be anything boring about a team until they reach that final destination and they can say, we are the champions of the world. You have to be invested emotionally in every win with this Phoenix Suns team because, again, when you've gotten so close and no cigar, it highlights the fact that you hadn't gotten what you really wanted yet.
Yeah.
And so at this point every win is going to mean something because when you get to the end and you start tallying them up and you start looking at seedings, it's going to be imperative that this team has home court advantage and that Chris Paul somehow, some way gets through an entire playoff season fully healthy.
Yeah. DeAndre Ayton was featured in an article in The Undefeated. Our friend Mark J. Spears, who does a great job covering the National Basketball Association. We should try and get him on a podcast in the future. We had him on the show
we'll get him on.
Back in the day a couple times.
I'll talk to him. I'll reach out.
The headline is DeAndre Ayton, I'm just putting my head down and working. And, that was one of the things that I think was the big question mark coming into this year after he didn't get the extension. But whatever he's thinking, it's not bothering him and it's not bothering the team. Outwardly, it's not bothering him and it's not bothering the team. You look at the numbers, what he's doing. He's doing what you want him to do. Like, no ill effect from the fact that he didn't get the extension.
I think for DeAndre Ayton, this is that watershed moment for him. You didn't get what you want. You were able to get a taste of success in the NBA. You realized a little bit of what you were as a number 1 overall pick, but you still didn't get everything. You didn't get the crown or the cash. And I think for DeAndre Ayton, people are going to be looking to see, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And this entire season is kind of a referendum on that phrase in reference to DeAndre Ayton. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to follow that up with a monster year and you're going to come out and be this number 1 pick with dominating numbers and being a major factor in all these Suns wins? Or are you just going to be still a nice piece and yet there are still other pieces that are more valuable than you? If there are still other pieces that are more valuable than you, then how do you deserve to get that money that you're asking for? Because if they're more important, then they can do without your services, and you're just a guy on that team. You're not the man on that team.
16-11 showed no ill effect from the knee contusion, whatever it was that held him out for a couple of games. So there you go. You know, and we'll see. That question will answer itself as we play. And to your point, regular season is the regular season.
Been there, done that now.
You, the Suns, and DeAndre Ayton, you've exposed the team, the market to great things last year.
That's right.
And anything short of that this year will feel like a letdown.
It will. It will be a letdown because you've shown us that you can.
Yeah.
And now that's the expectation. Now you've risen all of the people's hopes and dreams, and you've woken the dead, because there was a lot of fans that were dead as far as their love for the Phoenix Suns, and you've awakened that, and you can't just open up those feelings and then leave them hanging again, because once they close them off this time, they'll close them forever. You
talk about issues around the rest of the league. We look at L.A., which we typically do. The Lakers and the Clippers combined 26-24. That's a winning percentage of just over 50%. Obviously, if you're mathematically challenged.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Suns and the Warriors, they're winning at about an 84% clip.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
You can just see it in the horizon, Mike. You can just see the Western Conference Finals in the horizon, and these teams are going to play on Christmas again.
Yep.
And you can just see the slow buildup. It's almost like that weather front, Mike. You can see it from afar, and you see once the clouds start rolling in, it's like, it's like it's almost like they're on a collision course, and we're getting great theater and great drama leading up to it. But we know that ultimately what's going to be at the end, we just don't know how it's going to shake out.
Our friend. Can we say that? Charles Barkley?
Yeah, of course.
He called out AD. He
rightfully so.
Put him on. What did he say? Put him on blast. And
he and Shaq are very hard on him.
Yeah. And the exact quote was, "You're supposed to be one of the 5 best players in the world, and you ain't holding up your end of the bargain." It's pretty black and white when you look at it that way.
Mike, you're a top 5 talent, and when you start looking at the numbers, let's just look at the numbers for just a second. If you're Anthony Davis, you're telling me you're a top 5 talent in the NBA and you can't get more than 6 points per quarter?
Yeah.
You're a top 5 player in all the world, and you telling me that you can't get more than 6 points per quarter. That's 3 buckets or 2 buckets, depending on how you look at it. Maybe a bucket and a couple of free throws. You've got to be able to dominate quarter by quarter. And I think a lot of times guys look at the big picture and they say, well, I'm getting 20 and 10. It's like, but no, that's not enough. Because if you get it, I think I heard this from Charles again. Mm-hmm. We love Charles. He said you can't be a guy that in 3 games you average 30 points one game, and then you get 10 points one game, and then you say, well, I averaged 20 points. No, that doesn't get it done. That 20 is a very empty 20, because that 10-point game you did absolutely nothing to help your team. You were basically invisible. So the numbers may look good from average, but your impact is not there.
Meanwhile, in Portland, Damian Lillard, we talked about, people that you feel good for with what happened with the Suns. And Devin Booker, obviously, a guy who was kind of languishing early in his career, but, with Chris Paul coming in, the world gets to see what we've known about Devin Booker. Damian Lillard's kind of in that situation, and no fix on the horizon. In fact, they let their general manager go. He got caught up in some sort of office scandal, something with. Yeah. So So you got a team with no general manager to speak of, and you've got a guy who's been in the league 10 years now, Damian Lillard, and no hope. And here's the thing: They're good enough to just make the playoffs.
Right.
But that's it.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got to be unbelievable. He's got to be Dame time. He's got to go off for 30, 40 points in order for them just to get to the first round. Mike, I've heard it's even deeper than that. I think, well, the reports are that Paul Allen's death has been the real reason why this thing has gone south, because Paul Allen was the guy that really, really loved the Portland Trailblazers, and his wife doesn't really have the same affection for this organization or the people in that organization. So now you're seeing a lot of those relationships go sour, and I think Dame is kind of caught in the crosshairs of that. And like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't want to be traded. I want to win here, but all the relationships are starting to crumble right around it.
And isn't that true with teams that have like strong individual owners? Like, you played in Denver.
Boland.
Mr. Boland.
Yeah, Mr. B.
You know, and you look at how bad it's been since Mr. Boland left. His kids fighting over it. You know, it looks like maybe there's a resolution on the horizon there where it's going to be sold. You know, but kids fighting kids.
But who's going to take it over, though?
But to that point, though, like when you had an owner like Mr. Boland, and then when he died.
He and his dad. So for two generations, you had a solid leadership.
I grew up in Detroit. Mike Ilitch owned the Red Wings and the Tigers.
Yes.
They ain't done anything since Mr. Ilitch died. And his kids, again, fighting over it, not wanting to spend money like his dad. People have said he was crazy when he spent money on the Tigers, but they made it to – they didn't win it, but they made it to the World Series. There was never a doubt about that, and I think that's what's happening in Portland now.
Jim Buss. The Buss family. I mean, we don't want to say it too loud, but, you know, things haven't really been going smooth.
Or
Dr. Jerry Buss, I should say.
Dr. Jerry Buss passed away. Yeah.
I mean, it ain't been the same there either. I mean, they won one. They got that done in the bubble. But I'm just saying, you take that bubble season away, and there's been a whole lot of disappointment around the Lakers since Dr. Jerry Buss passed away.
And finally, our weekly look at the bottom teams in the NBA, and I figured you'd be gloating come about now.
Oh.
The Rockets are 6-4 in their last 10.
Yeah.
What's going on?
No,
they're not even the worst team in the West right now.
Yeah, but it's fool's gold, Mike. They're not a good team. They're beating up on teams that are actually worse than them, which I didn't think that was possible.
Whoa.
But there are some teams out there that are worse than the Rockets.
Sean Crespin gets mad when I say this, but Detroit basketball 1-9 in their last 10, still the worst team They've won 4 games. 4 games.
Hold up.
Way. 4-19 are your Detroit Pistons.
I mean, but, you know, the thing about that is when you have been an organization that has had a lot of success and have had groups and teams that were all-time teams, it's hard to look at a team that doesn't measure up to that.
Yeah.
And when you see the current version of that team, you're going to always be compared to the 89-90 bad boys.
Yeah.
Always in Detroit. For the Rockets, it's always going to be, do you measure up to the 93-94 Houston Rockets with Akeem the Dream and Sam Cassell and Kenny Smith and Clyde Drexler, all these players, you're going to always be measured to them because that was the standard. That's what brought home championships. And if you don't measure up to that, then you're always going to be looked at like, you're all right, but you ain't them.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. When you think about the Pistons, it's bad boys. But I think when you think about Detroit Piston teams,
you think about the 89-90 team. The 89 team more than the 90
well,
team.
the first one, of course. But
Rick Mahorn.
Speaking of special, though, the third one with Rip Hamilton and that team, because that was that was a team that, 2004.
Yep. The Lakers.
Did not expect that team because they kind of, they put that team together under Larry Brown. And, because, again, they were resting on their 89-90 laurels for a long time, right?
And remember, too, they didn't have that whole team assembled until they got Rasheed Wallace in the middle of the season.
Exactly.
It took a trade to get that nucleus together where, they had a little bit of a run there.
And that's where Sean gets mad when you do Mason. Billups.
Hold up.
Chauncey Billups.
Detroit basketball.
I found that on YouTube one night, man. I was watching that where they did the player introductions.
I had no problems with the announcer and them doing it in Detroit. It is when I'm doing, because where I ran the audio, B-Train, where it is in the corner of the lower level of the Suns Arena. They have 20 years, same spot. Sunday afternoon game, you guys were good, we were good, right? Somebody, and I know the person because they had the same season tickets for years sitting right behind me, sold their tickets to a Detroit fan.
Damn it.
And damn if this entire game, this you know what, wasn't leaning over the damn rail in my ear doing that stupid Detroit basketball chant. It took everything I had, and by the way, Detroit kicked our ass that day. It took everything I had not to grab that dude and just bring him down over that.
So you saying
railing.
he had the most punchable face?
Oh, he had a punchable face, Beecher, I'm telling you. He could have asked me, is there anything I can do? Nope, sorry, it's just your face. It's just your face.
Just lean in just a little bit.
Yes, a little bit more. Oh,
Hey,
so
come here. Yeah, can you do something for me?
yeah, it's not necessarily the announcer or the game, presentation in Detroit. It was that son of a.
You know what? And I'll give you that.
That day, Sunday afternoon game, I'll always remember that, dude. I never wanted to choke.
I am a proud Detroiter, born and raised in South. There ain't no such thing as South Detroit, but you get Detroit fans can be so obnoxious.
It was bad.
And of the three of us, I think I might be going out on a limb here. I'm the biggest hockey fan in the group. I couldn't stand going to games in the arena when the Red Wings fans were here.
Yep.
And my friends back home get mad at me, and this probably won't mean anything to anybody who hasn't lived in Detroit, but you know who I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. The guy that rolled into the parking lot in a 92 Camaro with an old jersey of a player that doesn't play anymore, a mullet, and
blasting,
he gets liquored.
Here I go again on my own.
And he gets liquored up by the end of the first period.
Yeah, wow. Just blasting some White Snake. Here I go again on my own.
He tried to put a squid down his pants. Put a squid down his pants so he can throw it on the ice.
Right.
No, man, I hate him. Hate him.
I mean,
I do.
I mean, the simple fact that you're gonna put a squid down your pants. I mean, that's
a little weird, man.
That takes a special mentality all in this.
It really does.
I wonder if he wore a wetsuit.
Hockey, yeah.
Because that'd be a little. I don't know where you get a.
Good luck.
I don't know where you get a squid in this town, man. But could you imagine? Get a little gamey by the time the team. Oh shit! They haven't scored since the third period.
Still in there.
Sitting here for 2.5 hours with a 10-pound squid in my pants.
I think you slide it under the seat right at that point.
I had at least 5 jokes coming to mind, but I'm just going to leave them right there. I'm not even going to go there.
Detroit basketball. All right, on the other side, I see that the research team
I think we're there.
has bought in the pump the brakes.
Yes, pump the brakes.
And then we will get into dad jokes as well. Man, how long has this been going, man? Like
I don't know, man.
This is going to go on forever.
The longest podcast we've ever done.
If you're still with us, thank you very much. We'll be right back on Train and Grose. Squid. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter at Train and Grose. We're on YouTube as well. Let's come to the fine part of the podcast, whatever this is called.
Mm-hmm. Some kind of cast.
Outcast.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Time to pump the brakes.
Let's do it.
I'm going to give you some statements, if you will, just some random thoughts. You tell me if you're pumping the brakes on it or if you're rolling with it. World of sports. We got a little pop culture coming up at the end as well. You touched on this game earlier, the Bills and the Patriots on Monday Night Football. Pump the brakes or not, losing to a team that threw the ball 3 times for 19 yards is more of an indictment on the Bills' defense than an accomplishment by the Pats' offense. Pump the brakes or not.
Now I know.
Don't pump the brakes.
It is, right? You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Dude, if you knew a team, you're defensive player like yourself, you knew a team was going to run the ball, only run the ball, and they're not even doing anything special. It's off tackle here. It's
But they brought in an extra lineman, so they didn't even disguise it.
No.
It was, we're coming at you. We're going to run this down.
And the quarterback didn't even keep it on play action and boot out the backside.
No.
Like, they did nothing. No. They just ran the ball.
We're just better than you. We're tougher. We're more physical than you. This is still our division. You had a 1-year reprieve. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you kept the hat and the shirt. Hope you didn't give it to your cousins or anybody else because you won't see another one anytime soon.
And Buffalo led them.
They couldn't stop. They couldn't do anything, Mike. They had no choice.
No, I know, but everything you said, and Buffalo led them.
Have you been in a game where defensively you knew a team was going to run downhill, like in a 4-minute situation late in the ball game, and you couldn't stop them? And how deflating is that, if that is a thing?
It's extremely deflating. I've been in that situation many a times, unfortunately. And when you have a team that has some decent pass rushers up front, like we did, way that you neutralize pass rush is you run right at those pass rushers.
Yeah.
And there are many times where we were down in the game and teams went into 4-minute drills and about the midway through the third quarter. And that's all you got for a quarter and a half. People just trying to take your head. And either you got two choices. You're either going to roll over and go belly up, or you're going to bow your neck and you're going to toughen up and actually stop them.
Yeah.
It's only two decisions.
That's Buffalo.
Oof, they went belly up on national TV.
That was brutal.
If that was a 4 o'clock game, it may not have been as bad, but the fact that everybody was locked in on that game because they knew what was important and what was at stake.
And what was the final score for 14-10?
10, yeah, 14-10.
And they never had a chance.
No.
It was 14-10, and they never had a chance.
They did.
They were driving late in the game, and they had that fourth down. They turned it over on downs late, but
missed field goal. How do you miss a field goal in Buffalo?
Oh, I think
and you kicking, but you know that though. It's your home stadium.
You're the one out there kicking before the game. You know that. You practice in it every day.
They out-Buffaloed Buffalo.
They did
I
out-Buffalo
disagree.
Buffalo.
Like, I watched that game. We all watched that game.
Yeah.
Buffalo never had a chance.
More of an indictment
never
on
had
the Bills than the Pats' accomplishment. Still a great accomplishment by the Pats, but
yeah, I'm taking nothing away from them.
Just bad by the Bills in that particular moment. You gave up 2 first-round picks if you're Seattle for Jamal Adams. He's hurt and out for the rest of the year. Again, nothing personal to Jamal Adams, but that might be, pump the brakes or not, that is the worst trade you can remember in recent history. That is brutal for Seattle.
Oof. I mean, I look at the Rams in their own division. I mean, I look at Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. I'm not so high
You're not sold on that one yet.
Not sold
so
on
you're
that
pumping
one
the brakes
right
a little bit on that?
Pump the brakes.
All right.
Because right now, Matthew Stafford looks like a more expensive version of Jared Goff. If you can even say more expensive, because Jared Goff got broke off before he was shipped out of L.A. And you bring in Detroit's problem, and it seems as if a new location, same issues. I'm not sure if either team really feels like they got a great deal on that whole investment.
3 straight games with a pick 6 going into that Jacksonville game last weekend, which it's Jacksonville, right? It's a get-right game, but
B-Train's right, and you know the quarterback's going to get that attention, right? You know, but going back to the original question, it was a bad deal.
2 first-round picks.
But I think the other thing that it underscores is what the hell's the future for the Seahawks team, because it's over. Like, it's over.
It's over.
Right? You know, they did what they do. They beat the 49ers. That's fine, but they do that all the time anyway.
And
so it's over.
You know how I know it's over? When's the last time you heard Russell Wilson go Hawks?
It's very true. At the end of his stay,
you haven't heard that in a while.
Well, it's like you guys are looking at my notes. Let's just jump right into this one. Jordan Schultz, he's the guy that reported that there was going to be a report about Robert Sarver. He reported a report, right? Anyway, he said on Twitter today, sources told him Russell Wilson would strongly consider waiving his no-trade clause for the Giants, Broncos, and Saints.
We've already been through this.
Pump the brakes on those 3 teams as a fit for Russell Wilson.
No, because he already gave us the list. He gave us the list last offseason.
They had the Raiders in it last offseason, and there was one more.
The Bears.
And the Bears.
The Bears. That's what it was, Bears.
Teams, you know, but it's the Saints this year. I mean, okay. The point is, he's ready. He's looking somewhere else. He's gone.
He's gone. Pete Carroll's gone. They're all gone. Pete Carroll, we talked about it, 70-some years old now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Look at this addition of the Broncos team, but substitute Russell Wilson on that team.
But to me, that's so unfair to Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm not.
I think Teddy has played as well as any quarterback could have under those
circumstances.
I think coaching is a major issue out there.
I'm looking on your paper. You're looking on mine, because the first thing I do. Well, I don't know who does it, because the Broncos, as we said, going through some ownership stuff right now. Somebody's got to make a decision. That's a god-awful coaching staff to put Teddy Bridgewater in a really bad spot. But there's so much talent on that team.
They have drafted really well.
So much talent on that team. That was more my point. And not a knock on Teddy Bridgewater.
No,
but that coaching staff needs to
Russell Wilson's a more accomplished quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater at this point in their careers.
When's Black Monday? Because that's when you clean out everything in the Denver Broncos. What is it called? Dove Valley? The moving van for the coaches pulls up.
Actually, it's Englewood, Colorado.
They got to go.
Yeah,
they got to go.
Yeah. And I played. I played under Vic Fangio, so it's weird to see him in this capacity.
But he was a coordinator, right?
He was a coordinator.
I mean, again,
with the Colts.
Some guys, it's harder for them when they get to that point. They just can't get it done as a head coach. But nothing wrong with him as a coordinator. There's nothing wrong with that either.
John Elway's got to go.
Who?
John Elway.
You think so?
Give him 10% of the new team and say,
he's John Elway.
Your services are no longer needed day to day.
You don't kick John Elway out of
Hey,
Denver.
give him 10% of the team and say, we'll see you. Show up for ribbon cuttings and kissing babies.
Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler from ESPN wrote an article about the coaching carousel today. All the different rumors that are out there and such. One of them tied Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders coaching vacancy and said they are hearing rumors of multiple teams, with an S, plural, inquiring about Jim Harbaugh as a head coach of their team next year in the NFL. Pump the brakes or not, Jim Harbaugh returning to the National Football League.
Pump the brakes. Why would you go back? I think at this point you've worked so hard to build that program at your alma mater. You finally got some traction. You were able to get over the Ohio State hump. You were able to get over the not winning the Big Ten hump. You're in the playoff. Everything is trending upwards. You're probably going to have some great recruiting classes because people like to come to a team that is winning and is hot. So why would you go back to restrictions? You can have as many good players as you want. In the pros, you actually have less guys at your disposal than you do in college. College, you can stockpile guys. You can just keep them and redshirt them and wait till they beef up and eat up and get their skills up.
And the burnout factor's not there because they're there for 3-4 years.
But you've got 100 bodies at your disposal. In the NFL, at best, you've got 60, 70 at your disposal. So you got 30 less guys, and there's more pressure to win. You're more likely to lose your job a lot faster in the NFL. So I think he should stay right where he is. He's going to always be beloved as long as he keeps winning Big Ten
Michigan man
championships. Well, I think it's a great job for him.
And I agree with you now. And I honestly think if Harbaugh was inclined to leave, he might have taken the escape hatch, the out, the last couple of years, right? You know, because he sat down with the athletic director, he redid the contract, he agreed to all that.
Yep.
And now he's got that weight lifted off his shoulder, as you said. You know, he beat Ohio State,
won the Big Ten.
He went to the Big Ten championship game for the first time. He beat Iowa in that game. Beat him bad. And
how did they score 3? That's what I don't understand. How did they get 3 out of that deal?
No idea.
But no, he's not going to the Raiders.
And you don't
or any place else.
And you don't want to go against your brother in the same conference to get to a Super Bowl.
That's true.
Yeah.
They played in the Super Bowl.
Different conference.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You don't want to do it. Like the Manning brothers. They didn't want to go against each other in the same conference.
It ain't happening.
Some pop culture time. I got a few of them. Ooh. Last year, our boy Mike Grose was all about this.
Yeah, he was.
It's back. The KFC log the log that smells like KFC to burn on your Christmas fire morning. We pump it. It sounds like B-Train's pumping the brakes. Grose, are you getting yourself a KFC log this year?
You know, the other day I was sitting out behind a Kentucky Fried Chicken with my window down.
Is that right? Just smelling it?
Breathing it in.
Christmas log, Yule log that smells like KFC.
Breathing it in. My thing is...
Just stop.
My thing is, like, man, if you put that log in your fireplace in your house,
whole house
does your forehead get greasy and like, you like licking your fingers? Got a dog, your dog's
got a sudden craving for mashed potatoes and gravy.
Right, just run in circles.
But so that's my answer. Don't waste your money on the log. Just pull up behind a Kentucky Fried Chicken, roll the window down for a minute.
Wow.
Especially if you get there on the cooking schedule when they drop down to dinner.
Yeah. All right, so next one. There are a ton of major stores doing what's called coupon stacking this year. Coupon stacking, where you can use multiple coupons to save some money. Pump the brakes or not. Using coupons in general is kind of a loss of man card points.
Oh, no, I'm not going to pump the brakes on that.
All right.
But I will say that as a guy that frequently uses Amazon, it's been a few years since I've actually gone physically shopping because now you can actually click a few buttons and you never even have to touch the products.
Yep.
And they can get to where they need to go. You don't even have to ship it. You just pay the $5 wrapping and all that stuff. I mean, it's way too easy now. And the coupons aren't going to really matter because people don't mind paying for the inconvenience.
Have you ever took a physical coupon to like the grocery store or something and handed said cashier a physical
I've never
coupon?
done it.
I've never done it.
Yeah.
Gross. Attaboy.
So I am responsible for the shopping in my house.
Okay.
You Sunday mornings cutting them out?
Now it's all, I do Instacart. Like I do the local supermarket.
Okay.
We're not sponsored by
now
anybody.
Everything's digital now, right?
Yeah, all the coupons are digital.
Oh, okay.
Look, I've saved $952 this year.
What?
$952. $952. But back in the day, said supermarket used to mail out coupons.
Yeah, so I was asking, do you
So, like, if I'm going
out?
shopping, check this out.
Yeah.
If I'm going shopping, we had the kids all and they said if you spend $120, we'll give you $20 off.
Okay.
You're telling me you wouldn't pull that coupon off and hand it to the lady when you're walking out?
I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I just think I've never done it before.
I did it. $20, $20.
$20. I'm with you on that.
I mean, it adds up. I mean, I will say the people that do
$900
it,
worth. That's crazy.
$952.
the people that do it, they swear by it.
They had a TV show like Extreme Couponing or whatever,
Yeah.
and they put it on
It
there.
gets intense.
Hey,
It
my
does.
mom was that way when I was growing up. She had a little.
How many brothers do you have?
Me and my older brother, my younger brother. I'm in the
So
middle.
3 boys.
Yeah,
We had 3 boys too.
Yeah.
You know damn well my mom was quick.
Absolutely. She had like a little thing that she kept them in, little box that she brought to the grocery store. Man, she was like a pro at that.
Back in the day, people would go in and they'd rush the store and buy the newspapers, like when
To
they had
get the coupon.
They had the coupon.
When they had double coupons going on.
Newspapers back in the day, newspapers $1 or $2.
Yeah.
You got $300 worth of coupons.
Yeah.
It's a good investment.
And this last one, I gotta.
You know, you guys ate the whole box of cereal as soon as your mom bought it home.
3 boys at the house.
It was gone
Yeah.
before it even hit the cover.
Right. Yeah. So I got to fade out of the music real quick, so I want to make sure you guys can hear this one for our final one. All right, because there's an audio portion to this particular Pump the Brakes question. I'm just going to play you the audio portion first, and then I'm going to give you the question. So here it is.
All right.
Let's go. Stomp, stomp, clap. Stomp, stomp, clap. Stomp, stomp, clap. Stomp, stomp, clap. My name is Adele, and I'd like to say Captain Bill says it's got to be on our way. So fasten your seatbelt, take them nice and tight. You better do them because we're going to check if they're right. Carry on bags under the seat on the floor. There's an overhead compartment where they can be stored. Seats back and trays, locked and upright. Pretty soon the ground will be out of sight. Laptop, computers, cars, down straight away. Are we ready to go? What do you say? Welcome aboard, SWA.
That was a flight attendant from here, Southwest flight out of Phoenix on Sunday. It had multiple delays. Pump the brakes or not, the flight attendants and the pilots with jokes on the speaker. Pump the brakes or not with it.
I'm not pumping the brakes. I mean, I like Southwest. I like their attitude towards flights.
Giving you a little more relaxed
entertainment.
Okay,
because you don't want to have uptight crews.
I like that. I agree with that.
It's already a tense situation flying anyway. With all of you got to wear a mask the entire time.
It's true.
In the terminal,
And you got stupid people. Stupid people on the airplane.
Yeah.
Stupid people shouldn't fly.
Yeah, well,
People shouldn't fly.
But I'm with you guys, man. You go to work every day. Have fun.
Have fun.
Have fun.
I am with you on that.
Have fun.
Enjoy
Because
yourself.
right now,
Well, there's some people who absolutely despise, just get through it and get me out of here type deal.
right.
I like sitting on the exit rows because you get more room. But then they come ask you the question, "Are you?"
Are you willing to open the cap?
Yes, but even Southwest has a little fun with that one.
Yeah.
But have fun at your job. And flight attendants in 2021
Can't even imagine,
couldn't
dude.
pay me enough.
Can't
Could
even
not pay
imagine.
me enough.
Yeah.
Like if you remember, the old board game Life, when if you got a job change,
Board game.
I crawled my way to middle management someplace, and I do the job change. They're like, "Hey, you're a flight attendant now." I'd be like, "No,
No,
You even did the spin.
I
thing.
wasn't ready.
Nothing but
I wasn't
respect.
ready.
Nothing but respect for flight attendants."
You ain't lying.
Yeah, man.
There are no
Crazy.
lies detected there. That is Pump the Brakes today.
I'm glad people clap for her.
I know. I agree.
Man, and walk by. If there's anybody not clapping, what's wrong with you, man?
You get
I
no
agree.
drink
Grinch.
You get no drink.
or peanuts or pretzel, whatever they give out.
We have reached the portion of the program
Yep.
where I have to switch this page over. Time for B Train's dad joke of the week.
Let's
Okay.
everybody stand up so
When-
B-Train can read the dad joke.
When he gives us the joke, he's going to get one of these. If it's a good dad joke, we follow with some laughter. If it is a phenomenal dad joke, we're going to tell all of our friends. I guess it's standing O, but there is that chance
I
that
got
he
you.
gets the horn.
You're so lucky.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, you ready? You guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right,
do it.
here we go. Before we got serious, my girl and she used to clean up my place, and I used to clean up hers. Eventually, we realized that we were made for each other.
That's good. That's good.
I'm good with that. I
Fine with that, too.
Yeah. M-A-I-D.
I get it. Appreciate that, Grose. Yeah. Appreciate
the
that.
clarification.
Yeah.
Yes. Always goes over well.
Oh, man. Well, that's going to do it for hour number 2. Stick with us. Now, we do appreciate you tuning in, and we'll be back at it. I'm sure we'll
Next
adjust
week.
the schedule around holidays or Sean's travel schedule, whatever. But thanks for tuning in, and don't forget, subscribe wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at Training Grose.
And remember, don't stay more than 3 days.
3 days.
Words to live by. We'll see you next time.
We'll holler.